Public CEO Report is a podcast that provides insights about the public sector and public policy for the benefit of decision makers and leaders powering our communities. I'm your host, Ryder Todd Smith, and today we're joined by Justin Hess, Burbank City Manager and President of Cal City's City Managers Department. Justin, welcome to the Public CEO Report.
Hi, Ryder.
Great to have you here. Always appreciate the chances we get to talk, and I'm glad to have known you for 10 years in the local government world in your prior life before you became a big fancy city manager and now as a city manager. All right, so Justin, we are on the precipice of a big week, and that week being the City Managers Department annual confab. We're going to be down in Carlsbad here next week. I guess first question I would have is, why should city council members be excited that a bunch of city managers get together at a conference, and how does this improve and help the profession?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, and it's going to be a great conference, and council members really should be excited about their city managers being at the conference, because it's just a great opportunity to learn all about best practices, interact with our city manager peers, and we're able then to bring back a lot of ideas that may apply to our respective cities. So there's a lot of, it's just a great opportunity to really learn and bring back ideas that we could really benefit from.
It's been one of my great joys of local government is that there's, with the exception of sometimes some competitive work around economic development, there's always a lot of collaboration among cities, right? It's who's learned what message, when did you stub your toe on some issue, then you try to avoid it. I think and I've always seen that to be the case at these city manager conferences, is it's a very kind of open communication situation, and you get to meet some new people and hear some great stories and learn from each other.
Absolutely. A lot of lessons learned, and we've either learned them the hard way or we've learned them through, very good successes.
So we're talking to you, as I noted, because you're president of the City Managers Department within the League of Cities. Can you just, first of all, explain what is the City Managers Department within the League of Cities, or Cal Cities, I guess, depending upon how old you are and how long you've been around local government?
Yeah, the City Managers Department is just one of several different departments within the League of California Cities, or now Cal Cities, and we represent all the city managers. And I'm lucky to be president this year, representing our profession.
Within the profession, what are your priorities? What are you trying to get done as president?
Sure, that's a great question. I really want to keep the momentum that was established by our past president, John Gillison from Rancho Cucamonga. We're going to continue to support the various goals of the league, which include protecting local control and retaining local decision making. And one measure that I really want to point out that we will look to oppose this year is the California Business Roundtable initiative that really severely limits cities' abilities to raise revenue. So that's going to be one of our big priorities, is opposing that, along with all the other goals that the league has put forth.
So let's dive into that a little bit too, just to make sure we're clear about the California Business Roundtable. That's a kind of an interest group or a lobbying group that's based up in the Sacramento area, and I assume, is that correct?
Yes.
And and it's usually made up of pretty large corporations, as best I can recall.
Yes, correct. A lot of big corporate interests.
And so they've always taken some swipes at times at local government and kind of local government control issues. They have now, as my understanding is, they've put together a ballot measure, and they've gotten a petition signed that is going to be on the ballot in November of 2023. Is that correct?
2020 in November. Yes, correct. I don't have the exact date of when the ballot's going to be on, but clearly it limits our ability to raise revenues by looking at not being able to increase things like sales tax, those kind of things. And there's some retroactive component to it as well.
Right. So this is a major threat to kind of the flexibility of cities and, frankly, voters in cities to make a determination about imposing certain taxes. And I think it also is designed to potentially affect fee schedules as well, for just basic fees like what you pay to rent a room at a Parks and Rec facility. Is that also the case?
Lots of negative effects. Yeah. So I know we're going to be looking at the language, and it's bad all around.
Yeah. All right. Well, understood that that's a big priority for the league, and I can understand for the profession, for you to be able to fulfill the work and obligations that council members come to you as a city manager and ask you to do. It's pretty darn hard to do that if you don't have the actual money to fund the activities and deliver on the needs of your community.
You couldn't have said it any better.
So I want to go back. So as I mentioned, we're on the precipice of this annual conference. It's a great conference. I've been for the last probably 10 years now, I think. It's always an adventure. You get to hear some great keynote speakers. What is the kind of nature of the programming focus this year for the conference itself?
Sure. We have a ton of great sessions. We are sold out. We have been sold out for a long time. So we're really excited. Our keynote speakers are going to be great. And I really want to give kudos to our conference planning committee. They did just an absolutely great job developing this year's sessions. And one of the things that includes a lot of our fellow city manager colleagues from throughout the state. We continue to put a big emphasis on having our fellow city managers be on session panels, as getting the insight from our fellow city managers is often the best way for us to learn. So that's a big deal for us. So a lot of different types of sessions, and you're going to be hearing from your fellow city managers all about that.
I noticed in some of the run-up that there's some discussion about resilience for city managers. Could you talk a little bit about that? What does that mean?
Sure. Yeah. If I could, I'd love to talk a little bit about our keynote speakers, because I know that fits into.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So if I could plug our keynote speakers, our first one, our initial keynote speaker is Ali Ward. She's an Emmy award-winning science correspondent, and she is an expert in curiosity. How about that?
Oh, and, we're fans of that here at the firm.
Right. She's going to be really engaging audiences across different mediums with her explorations in science, inventions, and food. She's really going to inspire us and look towards the future. Thursday, we have a great panel of economic and finance professionals, and it all starts with Michael Coleman, who everybody knows is the finance guru for the state. And then Friday, Adam Markle will be closing out the conference with a high-energy talk on resiliency. And that's a real big topic that, as far as, coming past this pandemic, coming out of it, we're all tired. We kind of need that refresher, that inspiration. He actually is doing an assessment, a free assessment, that if you look on your conference materials, you could take part of that and actually do. It's a quick 5-minute exercise, a free assessment that you could take. And he's going to actually be talking about that as part of his presentation. And he's going to share with us a lot of skills, tools, and strategies and practices that we could use as city managers to really accomplish great things as we come out of the pandemic and look to really go forward as far as post-pandemic.
That's it's an interesting topic. All great keynote speakers. I'm certainly looking forward to hearing from several of them while I'm down there. The subject of resilience, just this is my own editorial comment. You can choose to react to it or not as you see fit as president and also a city manager. But the city manager profession itself is a high stress job. I mean, every day you're surrounded by the challenges that are upending your community. More and more, the public expects the city to solve, or government in general, to solve every problem that's around them. So every problem basically becomes your problem. And fair to say, it also becomes the challenge for your elected officials that you are there to serve. But you're getting pressures from your staff, you're getting pressures from your elected officials, and you're looking at the economic realities of what you're facing. You have outside groups running potential statewide measures to completely upend your capacity to solve those problems by gutting you financially. Speaking as a man who had a father-in-law who was a 30-year city manager, it's stressful, and it is demanding and taxing, and it's kind of 24/7. So the resilience of the profession and of the people that serve in it is understandably a kind of an issue and something worth dwelling on. So I'm glad the conference organizers took some time to put some thought in that for fellow attendees to benefit from some of those discussions and some self-assessment.
That's some great comments. I totally agree. One of the things that we hear in talking to fellow city managers is that work-life balance those demands. It's nonstop. There's never a dull moment, even after the pandemic. It's just there's always something happening, and trying to manage that and be resilient post, just coming out of this 100-year pandemic is important. And I'm just excited that we're able to come back in person and talk about these things because, we all encounter this. It might be different types of problems, but we all have that same pressures and that same stress.
Yeah, 100%. What other than, so we obviously talk about the business roundtable issue and this resilience issue. Any other programming at the conference that you think is a highlight or segue into some of the challenges that cities are facing in 2023 that you'd want to share or note?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of sessions on current issues that we're facing. So topics include recruitment and retention of city staff. I know that's a big thing. It's just been hard to recruit and then also retain great talent. Dealing with mental health as well as homelessness. That's been a big deal. So we have a session or two on those. Economic development strategies, as well as council manager relations. So that's those are we feel are really relevant for this time, and I think the conference is going to do a great job of highlighting those topics. Yeah,
particularly those are all the biggies. Those as I cruise around California, making my visits to city halls as I am wont to do. Those are the big things I hear about all the time when I talk with my city manager friends out there in the local government world. The recruiting one in particular has been a real challenge. And one of the things that I've just found, both in my work here at Tripepi Smith, growing my firm and building a virtual organization, and talking to city managers is, and just employers in general, organizations in general, is a focus on culture and the kind of culture you build in your organization. Compensation is important, no doubt. People need to be able to feed their families and take care of their home front and afford the cost of living and the inflation rate. But ultimately, what creates a sticky environment, in my opinion, is a really positive culture where people feel like they belong and that has purpose. And sometimes that means you have to get aggressive about really defining what that culture is. So there's more cohesion, right? Bland culture is not exactly sticky. Well-defined and curated culture has a real impact on keeping around talent and attracting other talent who's going to kind of align and get excited about that kind of culture. So it's something I give a lot of thought to as I've been looking out there at the horizon of talent in California.
Yeah, I agree. Culture is huge. And just to throw that curveball in there, you're dealing with two things like with remote work and things like that, how you can still develop that sense of camaraderie, that connection. That throws a whole new little wrench into things, and you got to kind of think through that. So yeah, definitely a challenge.
Yeah, I'll share with you one of my little isms I talk about all the time that I'm sure my team is sick and tired of hearing me talk about, which is culture is the management that happens when management isn't around, right? And it's I think I'm a fan of it. Of course, I'm the one who tried to come up with this thing, but it's just 100%. It's like, what happens if managers aren't around? What's the team doing? And that's a great indicator of where your culture is at, and perhaps an indicator of where you need to try to motivate or change your culture, or be an influencer within your own organization.
I love it. Great quote.
So, a last question I'll ask here is, what are you looking most forward to at the conference? I mean, other than seeing me. Of course,
yeah.
Of course. And other than the amazing California City Management annual celebration that we do to celebrate the profession.
Yeah, I mean, I just love, being able to connect with my fellow city managers and learning from them, and just hearing all those stories, for better or for worse, and just having the opportunity to connect in person and get together all together. It's always fun catching up. I really appreciate also our corporate partners and seeing, going around the different tables and exhibits and learning what's out there as far as new technology, new software, new ways of doing programs or services. That's always fun. And it's just, it's a really great ability to just refresh, get to catch up with everybody and leave with some great ideas as we return to our cities.
Yeah, excellent. Before I let you go, because we are going to wind it down here, but you've done a phenomenal job getting in this opportunity to lead lead this department, which is really a great opportunity to help represent Burbank and with that and respectfully do so and kind of advance the Burbank name. So I'm certainly appreciative of your city council being supportive of those goals. What's new in Burbank, man? I mean, Burbank's a happening town. You got a lot of media there. You got some good stuff. You have a beautiful city hall, by the way. It's great architecture. It's one of my favorite city halls to visit. What's new and exciting in Burbank?
Well, we got a lot of great things going on. There's a lot of different projects going on. We have a lot of housing projects. We also have a lot of our corporate companies like Warner Brothers, Disney. They're all doing great things. We have potentially a new airport replacement terminal, so that is coming along. We're working on a new central library. There's just a lot of great stuff happening here in Burbank as the media capital of the world. So we're really excited looking towards the future.
Sounds like a lot more work and a lot more stress. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
But opportunity. All right. Well, that's today's report. My thanks to Justin for joining us from the whole Public CEO team and myself, Ryder Todd Smith. Thanks for your time. We hope you learned something new and inspiring that will help you in your public service. Remember, Public CEO has a daily newsletter that is free to those who sign up at PublicCEO.com. If you have feedback, questions, or guest suggestions for Public CEO Report, please email editor@PublicCEO.com.